In today's video, I'll show you how to create your first bash script to perform a small fusing operation with the goal of gaining access and then escalating privilege on the observer machine from HackMyVM. This script is basic but functional, and it can serve as a foundation for creating other types of tools, such as brute forcing a login panel, different types of fusings, scans, and more. I'll focus on explaining the script rather than the machine's resolution. That's your task. So let's get started. When we access the IP via port 3333 in the browser, something strange happens. It tells us that the file doesn't exist, and if you look closely, it always points to the home directory. If we check our environment, in our home directory, we find our users folder with typical user directories. So everything suggests that we can try to view a file through that IP and port if we can obtain a valid user. But which file could be useful? If we want to gain access to the server, the typical file used in these challenges is the ID.rsa file. This file is a specific RSA private key used for SSH authentication and encryption. So we could gain access through the SSH service using this private key and the username. But to achieve this, we first need a valid user, right? This is where fusing comes into play, which we can do quickly and easily with wfuse. But what's the point of using a pre-installed tool if there's no learning involved? We can create our own tools and have control over what we want to do. Plus, we can learn a lot in the process. That's what really matters when tackling these challenges. Now let's start with the script. We begin by defining some variables. IP stores the IP address of the server we want to analyze. URL is the base URL of the web server to which we'll send HTTP request. And word list, for this I'm using the names.txt word list from setlist. Now we need a way to read each line of that word list. For this we can use a while loop. This starts a while loop that repeats as long as the following condition is true. IFS, here we're setting the environment variable IFS internal field separator to an empty string. This is important to ensure that input lines are read correctly. But setting IFS to an empty string will prevent bash from splitting lines into words based on white space, allowing us to read entire lines without division. Read line, the read command is used to read an input line and store it in the line variable. The R option is used to make read interpreter backslashes, literally, and not escape them. This is useful if you want to keep escape characters intact in the read line. So, in summary, this piece of code allows us to read input lines one by one and execute a set of commands within the while loop for each of these lines. Each line is stored in the line variable so we can work within in our bash script. Inside the loop, first, we use echo to display the current username on the same line where the script is running, providing a kind of visual animation as each user is tested. Then we use tputl to clear the previously displayed content, giving us a clean update on each iteration. We use the curl command to make an HTTP request to a composed URL. The URL is formed by concatenating the base URL we defined earlier, the content of the word list variable, and the SSH string. The S flag is used to make curl work silently, meaning no messages or progress will be displaying on the standard output. Here we define the directory where the RSA private key we mentioned earlier is typically located. This key is usually in the user's directory .ssh. Next, we store the response of the HTTP request in the response variable. Then we check if the response contains the not exist string. If it doesn't, it means we found a valid user who has the ID RSA file in their directory. So we save the response to a file called IDRSA. This is the found SSH key. We change the permissions of the IDRSA file so that only the owner can read and write it. We display a message containing the SSH command to connect to the server with the SSH key and the user we found. We exit the loop because we found an SSH key and we don't need to search for it. We close the while loop and specify that the wordlist variable is the input source for the loop. Now that everything is set up, we just need to give it the script execution permission and run it. As you can see, everything went well. The correct user was found and their key was saved in the file. Now you have the task of escalating privilege and considering this machine solved. I hope this small tutorial has been helpful and you can create other scripts based on this one to learn even more. Remember to subscribe, like and leave a comment. Until next time.